Hi everyone, my name is Leanne and today we are going to be unhauling some books. Unhauling videos are one of my absolute favourite kinds of booktube videos to watch. I love seeing what books people are getting rid of. I used to do like an annual unhaul where I would get rid of like a lot of books. Like I definitely have unhaul videos where I've been getting rid of like 30 books, whereas this unhaul is going to be slightly more modest. I think I've got just over 10 books to talk about. Some of them I've read, some of them I haven't read yet, but I love unhauling books and sending them back into the world so that a new reader can experience them. Or if they're a book that I'm not going to read, I might have had full intentions of reading it when I bought it, but I just don't want to anymore. It's not doing any use sitting on my shelf. Generally, I will unhaul books if it's something that I had like a 2-star vibe about. I'm not particularly strict about like the star ratings that I give books. Like it's not based on anything kind of like scientific or any kind of metric. It's just based on vibes. And if a book is like a 2-star vibe, then I tend to unhaul it. Or maybe it's a book that I've read quite a while ago, but I just don't feel any connection to it anymore. It didn't leave a particularly significant impact on me. I don't feel like it has a particular place in my collection. I do really want my shelves to kind of define me in a way. Like I would want someone to be able to look at my shelves and figure out quite a lot about me as a person. So sometimes I will unhaul books that I gave like 3 or 4 stars to, again just based on vibes, but I just don't feel any kind of connection to it anymore, and I know I'm not going to reread it. I say that as if I'm a big rereader. I'm really not, but I think would I want to reread this given all of the time in the world is a pretty good metric for me to think about whether I would want to keep something or not. So let's start with the books that I have read. Starting with Educated by Tara Westover. I know this is a book that so many people have read and thought is absolutely fantastic. While I thought it was fascinating hearing about Tara's life story and her journey, there were a few things that bothered me about this book, and I don't think it's something that I'm ever going to read again, but I think it's something that someone else would love to find and get a lot of value out of reading. Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker was probably the one I'm most reluctant to unhaul because I think it's just beautiful. Like I love this hardback, I love the end pages, I love what it looks like without its dust jacket on, but this was just a book that I didn't really love. And I think if someone was to like find this in a charity shop or something, they would be absolutely delighted. So I'm happy to send it back off into the world, even though it is so beautiful that I kind of want to keep it. And the same could be said for Everything Under by Daisy Johnson. This was one that I just didn't have any particularly strong feelings about, but again I think it's one that someone would be really excited to find secondhand. The Comet Seekers by Helen Sedgwick I read a little while ago, and again just didn't feel any kind of connection to it. It wasn't really a book for me. The Gap of Time by Jeanette Winterson was another one that I was slightly reluctant to get rid of. This is part of the Hogarth Shakespeare series where contemporary popular writers are telling stories that are inspired or retellings of Shakespeare plays. This one is a retelling of The Winter's Tale and I really didn't enjoy it very much. I find Jeanette Winterson's writing a little bit hit or miss for me. I was tempted to keep hold of it so I could have both of my Hogarth Shakespeare books together. I really enjoyed Hagseed by Margaret Atwood, but I don't think I'm going to get any of the other books in this series, so it feels kind of pointless. A Love Story for Bewildered Girls by Emma Morgan was a book that I should have loved. It's a book that is all about female friendships and how complicated and messy those friendships can be, and also has queer themes in there as well. But again, it was one that just didn't really leave any impact on me. If Only by Melanie Murphy. I read this one for the Irish Readathon and I just wasn't a huge fan of it. I only have 4 books to unhaul that are books that I've unread. So that means that once I unhaul these books, my physical TBR is standing at this number. However, that is not factoring in all of the books that I've already read this month. So many of you have been so nice and so supportive of me doing a terrible job in trying to get my TBR to below 100 books. So if you're not already subscribed and you haven't already hit the notification bell, please do, because it means you will be one of the first to know when I upload my wrap up at the end of the month and we can find out how many books my TBR is at. So I am unhauling Lust by Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl, of course, most well known for his children's books, and this is a collection of short stories that are for grown-ups. I don't know why I bought this. I don't know why I bought this and why I kept hold of it for so long. I do not want to read a short story collection about lust by Roald Dahl. One Enchanted Evening by Anton Dubek. I had full intentions of reading this book when I bought it. I really like Anton Dubek. I love Strictly. Do I want to read a novel that is this big? that is written by him. I'm not sure I do. The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare. This was one that I got from work. This kind of young adult fantasy isn't really in like my areas of like expertise when it comes to children's and young adult writing. It's not really something that I massively gravitate towards, but I know that my cousin would really love this book. So it will be in much better hands when she's got hold of it. And finally, I have a proof, and that is Enchanté by Gita Trelease. I have had this proof for ages. Like, Enchanté has been out for such a long time now, and I do feel bad that I haven't read it, but I just feel like I'm never drawn to picking it up, and if I ever do feel drawn to it, I know I can get the audiobook from my library. Of course, as this is a proof, this isn't one that I'm going to be giving to charity. I have done a full video on what you can do with proofs if you don't want them anymore, so I will leave that link down below and in the cards if you want to check it out. I am going to be asking around with some like YouTube and blogging friends to see if they would like this book, because while I don't feel like I can put proofs back into like general circulation and be in like charity shops and stuff, I think for me personally, I think it's okay for proofs to be amongst like bloggers and stuff. So that is where this one will hopefully be going. So there we have it. That is a slightly modest unhaul, but I think now looking at my TBR trolley, everything that's on it is now something that I do really want to read. There's nothing that feels like a burden that's on there. How often do you do a little cull of your shelves? What do you do with books that you don't want anymore? If you don't have anything particular to say, make sure to leave me one of your favorite emojis down in the comments. That's all from me today. I hope you guys are doing well, and I will speak to you in my next video.